All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kind Mind Community. As you know, my name is Kelly, and I'm full of love and gratitude today because it's October 12th, and I had a dream 4 months ago that I could single handedly attract 12 beautiful people to speak on October 12th of 2021. And here you have it. And these beautiful people I met through the understanding of the principles in one way or another. And they're here to share their wisdom, their understanding, their courage, their strength, their thanks, and anything that may come up for them in the time that they're resharing. And I'm very busy letting people in the room, so I apologize for being a little out of line here. But this is about gratitude, thanks, and grace. It's about the three principles, and it's about what humans, regular humans, people from around the world see, what they've heard, what their learning might have been, and why they're grateful for it. And I have no idea what they're going to say. Just we didn't talk about it. Nobody phoned me up and had a conversation on it. I just said, "We're doing this thing. You want to come?" And they said, "Yeah, I want to come." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And so here we are creating a recording for the rest of the world to share in as well. So without further ado, the list is in the chat, and I am going to begin with what we call the voluntoed participant, the lovely Meg Zucchero, who I asked if she would go first, and she said yes. And why is it that I can't? There she is. I see you. Say hello, Meg.
Hello, everyone.
There she is.
Morning or good afternoon or good evening.
There you are. I'm just wanting to make sure that I can get everybody in view. Okay, you're in view, and please welcome Meg Zucchero to the room. Meg is a dear friend of mine, and she can uh, uh, let you know just how much I love her very, very simply and quickly because it's felt by both of us, and I'm very glad she's here. And she said yes to me telling her to go first. So you know what that's like, everybody. It's like, oh, me, okay. So Meg, thank you so much for being here, and the room is all yours in love and grace, my friend.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you. And I chuckle, Kelly, about going first because one of the things that I'm coming to realize is the absolute beauty of just saying yes without, you know, this little mind going, oh my gosh, no, 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 I can't do this. I can't do this. Of just saying yes and then having to sort of pay attention to what all this stuff is and then just to let it go. So thank you, Kelly, for the opportunity for me to lean more fully into that piece of wisdom. And so when Kelly asked if I would participate in this beautiful kind mind gathering today, I was watching myself, and I jumped in with great joy in my heart, because what other greater gift can there be than to be surrounded by people who just want to love. And so it was with great joy in my heart that I said yes. And then I started to wonder, well, what was I going to speak on? And so I started to write down a couple of notes. And the next day, I'd write down a couple of notes. And I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd write down some notes. And then I noticed that each time I went to visit the notes to become more familiar with them, it didn't feel right because the moment had changed. And I realized that I had changed as well. And so for me, it's very much a place of trusting, a place of having that really deep faith, of dropping into this space of no thought and just trusting whatever's going to come forth. So thank you for allowing me the freedom just to witness what comes. And Kelly, if for some reason I go on and on and on and on, just, get the cane that they do on the stage, right? And just kind of pull me off here because I'm not quite sure what's going to come.
I got your back, girl.
Thanks, Kelly. But, I think there's such an incredible gift and incredible beauty of trusting and having faith in what wants to be expressed through us. That for me, it's like living in the world with what I love to call a holy curiosity, where everything becomes this incredible, precious moment when I realize that I don't know this moment because it's never ever come before. And there's teachers in absolutely every single moment of life. And there's been this one teacher that I was blessed to know that has been really present with me on this Thanksgiving weekend. And I just really feel called to share her with you, because she was a teacher to me of trusting that space of no thought and just meeting it with a holy curiosity. And her name was Elaine. And I really had the privilege to companion Elaine at the end of her life. She was a young woman in her late 40s. And she had such a thirst of curiosity around what was this whole journey about for her. And she held really very little fear around it. And one night I received a phone call at dinner, and it was her sister. And she said, Elaine's been taken back into hospital, and we've been asked to gather as a family. And I asked Elaine, what did she need? And she said, I want to see Meg. So I left the dinner table and I went over to the hospital immediately. And I felt a little out of my comfort zone because there was her family in this hospital room. And she asked me to come into that. And when I entered, she just asked her family just to leave and to give us some time. So I crawled onto the bed with her, and we were just together. And we found ourselves, we were laughing and we were crying and we were lying there just in complete silence. And I remember this little voice came into my mind at one point and it said, Meg, are you using up too much time here? Maybe you better leave. And then this profound sense of just trust came into me. And I just trusted that I would know through that feeling. We would feel together in that moment when we were to part. And that's exactly what happened. And so it was just let that mind go and just trust the knowingness, just trust the wisdom that comes. And it did. And at that point, there was this incredible sense of utter completion. And so we expressed our love to each other. And I turned and I left. And then as I walked out the door, here was her enormous family all lined up down this long, long hallway. And again, this thought came in of, oh my gosh, Meg, what are you going to do here? And I just thought, just breathe and just let this go. And so there was this wisdom that just flowed through and guided me as I greeted each and every person there. And it was an experience for me of what I call holy and sacred and precious. And I remember this expression that I read that said, to know God, the mind must be naked. And I absolutely love that, because when we are in this place of no thought, for me, there is this holy curiosity. There is this place of blessing and grace where we stand in nothing but just the true essence of who we are. And that experience with Elaine really showed me what beauty shows up when we just trust. And it showed me a deeper understanding into, this world that we talk about, this world of form and formlessness, and this world of chronos time, which is the, time as a concept, as an idea, and then kairos time, which is this time of formlessness, this time that is unending, with no beginning and no end. And my understanding started to deepen around this beautiful word called sacred, which had been described to me once as, the sacred means to set time apart. And I thought for years and years and years, well, that meant, okay, well, Meg, you just go into some place and you sit down and you carve out this time, and then that's sacred. And though there's still a resonance of truth in that, what I've really come to understand through many experiences of just being in the moment is that we're setting aside form and we're dropping into that place of formlessness. And when we are in that place, we become present to the sacredness of all of life and to the incredible, profound gift that comes through that, which just lights us up with love. And we feel it and we know it. And it's, I think of, that beautiful poet of Rilke, who talks about this blood remembering. We know this love deep in our bones, in our blood. It's who we are. It's ancient. Absolutely every single being on this planet knows that. And so that just kind of blows me away when we think about this whole sense of oneness, that we have never been separate from that. No one who has ever had life breathed into them has been separate from that. We share all of that. And it just fills me with awe. And I love, oh my gosh, there's just so much to share here. I love, the words of Rabbi Heschel, who speaks about what we cannot understand through analysis, we understand in awe. And to wake up every moment and to feel this sense of awe flow through us it's just pure presence and pure bliss. And then it just came to me, have you ever looked at the word heart? And what's in the middle of that word heart? It's the word ear. And to hear through the ear of the heart, the gift of this life just rocks my world. It just rocks my world. And the fact that we don't need to do anything. We don't need to be anything other than who we are. And so to be able to rest into the knowingness of that. And when we get to that point of forgetting, just to be able to close our eyes for a minute and just lean into that knowingness, lean into that space where the mind is naked and there's no mind, and to feel ourselves returning home to that love that we are, with incredible gratitude for this opportunity where we find ourselves. And I see Kelly leaning forward, and I'm thinking that that might be my cue. But oh my gosh, there is just thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for thank you for love. And now I will hand the room over to the lovely and beautiful Lisa.
Thank you, Meg. Love listening to you. Just filled my heart. I love your love. I do. So, hello, everybody. Lisa here. A little nervous. Not really comfortable with speaking. I've got to be honest. So I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to do it. And that's one thing I've come to learn from the 3 Ps. Which is new for me. I've just recently kind of hooked up with Kelly and starting to learn how this all works. But when I first got connected, it was such a good fit, because I really resonated with the whole idea of it. And I did learn at the very beginning, which was to my amazement, of the mind, thought, and consciousness, and how our thoughts are connected to a feeling. And for me, the awareness around that it really spoke to me, and it just made me more aware that when I was having these thoughts that would come in, and then when I would be feeling a way, I'd think, okay, what am I thinking about? And I started to realize that these thoughts are negative, toxic, and they just pass through. So it was great that I could sort of identify that this is something that will pass, and that I don't have to really bank on that emotion that I'm having, that it's just something that I'm thinking about, and to allow those thoughts just to kind of run through my mind. And another thing that really awakened me to the 3 Ps was the being present. I'm the type of mom, I'm the type of person, I'm a single mom, and I've got lots going on, and I have my own business. And so I was always kind of running from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, just to make sure I could get everything done. And it's really funny, because when my son was little, he used to say to me, Mom, just listen, just listen. It brings a tear to my eye, because the listening is so important for being present. So those two things I learned, and they were just so powerful. And I'm so thankful that I was able to get it, to really get it in my spirit and know the importance of it. Sorry. So those were very valuable insights, to be present. And with the presence comes the peace. And something I heard the other day, which really spoke to me, and that is, when we're thinking of our past, or we're thinking of our future, and we're not being present, God is in the presence. He's not in the past. He's not in the future. He's here. And for me, it just really spoke to me that, yeah, this is where I need to be, and not miss out on those blessings that come from being present. So it's been so helpful, I've got to say, like with relationships, with business, just being present with those that are speaking to me, to listen to what they're saying, and to really have that third level of listening, to really empathize and listen and connect, which is the other thing I've learned through the 3 Ps, is the connection. It's so important. And we can't connect unless we're present. And we can't be present unless we listen. So it all made a lot of sense to me. I'm just really learning a lot, and I'm loving it, and I'm loving the people that I'm meeting through it. It's such a blessing. I've made some really good friendships through with all of you here, and that's a huge blessing. And I think another thing for me is, just trusting that everything is going to just take place the way it should. Just trusting, not trying to, overthink things, not trying to figure things out, just trusting that everything is okay, everything is good. Even when, you feel like things are crazy around you, you can just have that inner peace and trust and know that I'm okay. Everything's going to be fine. And really the bottom line is just to love one another. I really have a strong sense of that. And I just feel that love is the most important thing. Like Meg was saying, I totally agree. It's just really about loving each other, loving one another, supporting each other, being like-minded, and living it, being a part of that, having that come through us and flow out of us. And I believe that God is love, and that he does love us very much, and that we're a vessel he uses, that we can let that love come out onto others. And yeah, just to be thankful for that, and for all that we have. And not just physically, like we're thankful for, our families and our health, and those are very important things, but just to be thankful that we are loved, and that we can trust, and that we can just share that with others. So that's what I've learned from the 3 Ps so far, and I'm sure I'll be learning more, because we never stop learning, I do believe, and it's a journey, it's a process, and to just become more and more of who we need to be and who we were created to be. So I'm going to pass it on to Sam, my friend Sam, whom I love.
Thank you, Lisa, and I love you too. I too don't know what I'm going to speak about, but I'm just going to let it flow. because I find that a lot of the really great conversations that are had happen that way. So my understanding and knowledge of the 3Ps is similar to Lisa's. The mind, thought, and consciousness. And I guess maybe I'll start with a little bit of a background for me. I too am a single mom, and I left my ex-husband almost 10 years ago, and it was an abusive relationship. And I don't say that for people to be like, oh, I mean, yes, it was terrible. However, I don't want people to feel sorry for me, because it's changed my life and has allowed me to become the person that I am today. And the learning and the growing from that is, I'm almost, as weird as it sounds, thankful for that, because it's allowed me to learn and grow. It's allowed me to teach my daughter things to stand up for, and just know who you are as a person. And I met the lovely Kelly Mabel at a networking event, and we just instantly were drawn to one another. And we sat together and we chatted some more. And I was just drawn to her personality, her just outwardness, the outgoingness, the loving that comes from her. And I decided to learn what the 3Ps was about. It was in alignment to what I felt in my core, and to really understand that your thoughts create the feelings that, and it becomes this almost like this cycle if you're potentially in a not very good place. And I was in a court battle for the last 10 years, and it just recently kind of came to an end. And I had just a really great conversation with her, and it was about what do I want? What the feeling that I have inside of me with all this chaos going on around me. And I thought, I just don't want this anymore. I don't want the feeling, I don't want the emotion behind it, because I feel like I wasn't getting anywhere, and it was really taxing on myself. And I had the choice. I had the choice to choose love. And that was really hard for me, because it was 10 years of my life, and I spent it in a lot of anger and wanting to prove what had happened and how I was feeling to people that just didn't understand. And I just let it go. I let it go because I knew it wasn't serving me. And I knew deep down in my core what had happened and what my experience was true to me. And you can't explain that to people that don't understand and that can't see it. So I was spending a lot of energy into trying to do that, when it really just didn't matter. It really didn't matter. What matters is my heart and who I surround myself with, who love me for who I am and understand me and will stand by me, when things get rough or hard, or when you sometimes can't understand things. I'm just really grateful for the tools that I've learned and that I continue to learn and use, because some days those tools go out the window because you forget and you go back to those same patterns or same way of thinking. But I had a great conversation with Kelly yesterday, and it's the time that you spend in the place where you used to be is shortened because you're aware of what you truly know. And it comes down to, where do you want to be personally, emotionally, spiritually? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in that place of chaos and turmoil and frustration? Or do you want to be in a place that comes from love and understanding and lightness? There's such a lightness about it. Lisa, I totally understand what you mean. There is a lightness of when you understand and let go. It's so peaceful. It's so peaceful, and it's hard. It's hard to continue that, but like I said, the amount of time that you spend there is shortened, and 10 years is a really long time. It was definitely off and on for me, but being able to draw on the tools that I've learned and be surrounded by people that can support and understand that, and just kind of go like, hey, remember that thing you learned? Those tools would probably come in handy. Or, you know, not even necessarily in that way. It's the gentle reminders of how it can just, you can just be, and how light that feels. I don't know where I am for time, but you know, I just am thankful for the journey that I've been on and that I'm going through, and that will probably still continue to be. It just feels nice to know that I'm loved and supported. Sometimes the world can be pretty lonely, and you know, it's to be able to draw on things that I've learned and am going to continue to learn. You know, I'm excited about that because it's helped, and yeah, I'm just excited and happy and open to continue to learn. And what an amazing process and journey it's been. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And I am passing it off to, where's Philip? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm always here. Yeah.
The room is all yours, Philip.
Thank you, Sam. Nice to hear your story. So I was also reflecting, just as Meg did, about what to talk about, and I thought that there are so many things to be grateful for. And in the good moments, we can all see them out here in the world that we can see through our eyes. So I am, of course, very grateful for my family and my friends, all you guys that are here that I have learned to know a little bit the last year, and some very much. My dogs, they're very, very close to my heart. And of course, there are other things like the house and the place that I live in, and the music. I just love music, and I know Kelly do too. We often exchange songs to listen to. What I'm also really grateful for is nothing. And that might sound a bit strange. In Swedish, the word for nothing is ingenting. And if you look closely to both those words, they actually consist of two parts. First it's the no, or the ingen, and then it's the thing, or the thing in Swedish. So what I'm also very grateful for isn't a thing, it's a no thing. And perhaps that sounds weird too, but let me talk a little bit about that. So what I have seen during the last 2 years is that there's a background to life. Previously, I mostly saw the foreground, like the content of well, what I'm thinking of and all the things out here in the world. And I wasn't really aware of this background. Of course, there were occasions that life felt really good and I was really peaceful and in a loving space. But that always seemed to have something to do with something that happened on the outside. Like I was on a trip, or it was finally the weekend and you can relax and so on. So previously, I really thought it had to do with all the things out in the world. But now I know that it's more how my thinking is going on. If I just relax, get out of my busy thinking in my head and relax into this background, life is really, really different. And this background has become like my best friend. It's always with me everywhere I go, and it's always available. At first, this background, it felt like just I got a little sense of it. So it felt a little peaceful. It felt good in my body, and there was some kind of knowing and hope there. And then you might say that time passed by, but it's really not about time. But as my understanding deepened, or I gave up more beliefs and relaxed deeper into this background, I also allowed the feeling of this background to grow. And sometimes when I just relax into this background, the feeling grows, and it's like some expansive feeling that just goes out. And then it sort of merges with the foreground of life. And in that feeling, there is just everything you need, at least what I need. So this is such a strong feeling of joy and happiness, of love, of being connected with people, with nature, with animals, and so on. And there's also just such a sheer joy of being alive. And there's really nothing that you can do to improve that. But is that experience really real? Or is that something that we have just imagined? At first, it felt almost unreal to me. But now I know that it's the most real no thing there is. And I think I have a couple of minutes left, so I thought that I might read a little text here. So this is a song, and it's called Almost Unreal. So here it goes. I love when you do the hocus pocus to me. The way that you touch, you got the power to heal. You give me that look. It's almost unreal. It's almost unreal. So that is one of my favorite songs, and it's of course by Roxette. And I really encourage you to listen to it. And it's not in the words, but it's in the feeling that Marie, she's singing from. And it's a feeling from which the music was created. And yeah, I just love that. So now I would like to turn this room over to my new friend, Veronica.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really amazing. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Kelly for the invitation to collaborate with all of you beautiful people and the visitors that are here listening. I think it's a really special way to celebrate Thanksgiving. So kudos to you. I'm really glad that that idea dropped into your mind, Kelly. I was preparing a little bit. I didn't actually prepare at all until this morning, and I did jot down a few things that I wanted to share about the three themes. So Thanksgiving, gratitude, and grace. So recently I was reminiscing with a friend. We were actually having some wine and just chit-chatting. We hadn't seen each other for a while, and we were talking about some revolutionary moments in our lives and those, you know, synchronicities that lead up to those revolutionary moments. You know, to bring us to people or to places and to the here and now. And of course, you know, one of those lessons or one of those important pieces that I've walked away with after learning more about the three Ps is that the now is our gift, right? That's what they call it, the present, as they say. So lately I've been spending time in really breathing in presence. So I'm going to invite all of you to stop for a minute with me and close your eyes. And let's just take a couple of deep breaths together. This is definitely something that has allowed me, you know, in any area of my life to just really drop in. And that, I believe, is the greatest gift that Sydney Banks brought to all of us, is just now in this moment. So that is definitely one of my greatest takeaways. So if I think back, you know, about those I can't say that word right now, but synchronicities, I think about how I got to this moment right now. And I think about, you know, just a real quick summary of the story, but I lost someone, and someone important in my life, which led me to find someone, which led me to with an invitation to meet Kelly. And, you know, here I am. All of those things just amaze me. But I just want to thank Kelly, especially for introducing the three Ps to my life, and to the people in this room who I know a little bit better than others, who we've shared classes together. It's just been such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm so thankful for that. When I think about gratitude, It really stands out for me. It's really about the small things. It's always been about the small things. I feel like it's always going to be about the small things. And taking the time to see their light and allow it to illuminate. When you allow things to illuminate and resonate in your presence, I find that it makes it very easy for other people to see that illumination as well. So again, another little nugget of information that I've taken away from 3Ps, or maybe it was like insights that have come to me during those beautiful classes. Really about the appreciation of the small things. I'm also I feel a lot of gratitude right now for my health for a lot of different reasons, but a few days ago, I was bending down to put a hairdryer away in my cupboard, and I wrenched my back doing something so simple. But even through that experience, I was able to find, the gift in slowing down on Thanksgiving weekend and taking in the presence of things more. My folks came to visit me, and I, watched my mom cook dinner and taste the food. And if I had been scrambling, I may not have had all that presence. So I feel a lot of great gratitude for that. I, like others, find gratitude very easily when I'm in nature, instantly, in fact. As soon as I go outside, it's just, especially where we live, we're very lucky. But I feel the presence of nature. I feel the presence of God instantly when I step outside. So that's a big, huge gratitude for me, is just being able to do that, just being able to step outside. When I think of grace, not only do I think it's just the most beautiful name, if there's any Graces in the room, it's actually my niece's middle name, which I think is so, so beautiful. But to me, it's about beauty and acceptance, and mostly about accepting who we are, accepting that we're perfectly imperfect. I don't know where I heard that along my journey, but I love that saying, accepting that we're perfectly imperfect, because we are, and that's awesome. It's awesome that we're perfectly imperfect. Grace to me is about, I've been spending time with someone who practices Buddhism. So non-attachment is, something for this person that's just, it seems to come very easy, but I'm sure it's been a practice. But to me, that's grace, is like the non-attachment to things. I think it's just so beautiful. The ability to send love and light out to others and to hold space for them, I think is such a beautiful thing. And to me, that is definition of grace. Magical moments like this right here, right now, where we all get to be together. I have already shed a few tears this morning, and I know I'm probably going to shed more, but just taking the time to do these things and to really drop in and listen. I've heard that word quite a few times, and I totally agree. And I love that, Meg, thank you for sharing what you spoke about earlier about heart and ear. I had not heard that before, and there you go. I've already learned something new in our session. So for me, grace is also about recognizing divine assistance. I think divine assistance, an example of that is when Kelly received that drop in of having this moment for all of us to share in. That's divine assistance. Having grace is really having the knowing that I am a magnet for my universe. So, I heard this recently, and it's, I'm a magnet not for the universe, not for everything, but for my universe. I'm a magnet for my universe. So having a knowledge and an understanding of that for me is grace. And I'm just going to finish off by sharing again, you listen to so many things that you feel attracted to in the run of a day that sometimes you lose track of where you hear these things. But there has been a saying that I hear repeatedly, and I believe it's from a gentleman that I follow named Phil Good. But don't quote me on that. But this individual says, "Let the divine light in me bring out the divine light in you." And when I hear that, it resonates so deeply for me. So I just, again, want to thank everyone for being here, and Kelly for inviting me. It's just an honor to be here. And I'm going to pass it over to Pernell, and I hope I'm pronouncing that properly.
Indeed you are. Thank you very much, Vie. And hello, everyone. Good evening from Denmark. And good evening to you, Kelly. It's good to see you again. And thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this very special room tonight, the Thanksgiving. I would very much like to express in loving gratitude a heartfelt thank you to Christiane, who introduced me to the 3 principles earlier this year. If it hadn't been for that introduction, I wouldn't have been on the journey that I embarked at the time, which has led me to where I am today. And I do hope that I have many more chapters to be unfolded and opened. Recently, while being at the Faroe Islands together with you, Kelly, I had a few insights, and one of the things that I really came to feel very strongly is finding great solace in nature and realizing the importance of slowing down and being in the present, as a few of our mutual friends in this room tonight already have spoken about. I think it would be only fair to say that without further ado, I would very much like to quote a poem by Rumi, as I find that so many things have been said already, and I agree with them all. And when it comes to Rumi, I think that he points out something that is also pointing out the importance of being open to allow new things to happen, and whatever has already been may be changed to something new. So please allow me to quote The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Each morning is a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are crowds of sorrows, who wildly sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them all at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Thank you very much. And I give the floor to Sabine.
Thank you so much, Pernell. Wow, that was profound. Okay, my name is Sabina, and I just want to, there's a motion coming up right now I have a deep gratitude for have met Kelly. I did stress out about being a speaker today, just so you know, even though, you know, I've learned so much. But when I met Kelly, I had gone through such a struggle and such a fight in my life of trying to get where I am today. And as I wrote out notes as to who I am and what I'm grateful for, I realized that all those hardships and those struggles were what made me, what got me to where I am. And there was a time where I thought I was so not important. And when I was in, what I've learned through the 3P is that those thoughts were not true. I had programmed myself so much to think that everything that I thought was I had made come true, right? And what's wonderful is that I've learned that none of it is real. And I am important. I have, as I wrote down everything that I was grateful for, my parents, the fact that they grew up in wartime and that they met here in Vancouver and fell in love. And I was conceived because of that. And then they started this beautiful family out of love and created a life that was so beautiful. And they showed such an example of striving to make things happen, that anything is possible just in believing. And somewhere along the way, for me, it got polluted with thinking that my success is outside of myself. And what I've learned it's not. It's inside, and I prove that every day by the people that I meet, the people I spend time with, truly being in the present and just in the love of the moment is so amazing. To be with a friend who happens to be suffering and to just be there, to listen, to share. I think that gets to my heart. Like that is my heart. I love being with people and being able to just support them in that moment. And it's really, I'm very grateful to have learned that, to be able to practice that every day. We have such power inside of ourselves. And it gives me such a joy to be able to share and pass that along to everyone that I meet. Love is what we need, especially now, especially in my relationship with my husband. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, I did write down a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm not saying any of what's on the page. I'm just very grateful to be able to be here with you, to have these beautiful friendships with with everyone and just be okay with being me. It is such a relief. It is a relief that what I think about is okay, or not to think about, or not having to do anything, but just being. Just being. It feels beautiful. And I just want everybody else to realize that same thing. And I look forward to meeting so many beautiful people and making so many more beautiful friendships and helping to have people realize their own moments. I think that's it for now. I love you guys. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my beautiful friend, Pamela.
Thank you, Sabina. Wow. So much richness. Like many, I tried to plan it out, write it down. What will I say? How profound will it be? How can I fill up the space? Yeah. And it's all gone. It's all, there's nothing in my head. And that really sums up my journey. What I'm so grateful for really is where I've come from and come to through this process of revealing myself, discovering myself through the principles and many other spiritual teachings. And life events that are beyond what I would ever have imagined I'd have to endure. And of course, those things are the defining moments where I cracked open. And really a defining moment where I felt love from the people who supported me through that crisis. And it made me realize I hadn't been able to feel love. I was a person who was cut off from that. The understanding that the principles was able to mirror for me is that I had it. It existed. It was me. It is me. Love is me. Beauty is me. That is my being. I was just cut off from it. And I'm so grateful for that unveiling that I was able to do in the presence of this community and in the presence of other healing communities, and have that experience of removing those layers and knowing what I was really made of. It's quite distressing as a person who was a high achiever, credentialed, educated, some level of affluence. It's quite a shock when those things, you realize those things don't mean anything about who you are. And learning that my thoughts created my reality. When my world fell apart, I had to see where my part in that was, where I was misaligned, or where I wasn't coming from my innate self, from my true nature, from my connection with all people. And I'm so grateful and thankful to have had those realizations and let go of what created the original realities to create new ones, coming into alignment with my power, my sacred power, not my material power. The underlying, what I feel is the underlying strength of my sacred power are my relationships, starting with myself, starting with understanding that I am beauty, I am love, I am forgiveness, I am compassion, and I am a mirror, as the principles were a mirror for me to see what I hadn't seen before. It actually makes my feet tingle and my body feel at rest and joyful to think about the relationships that I've formed in this community and the relationships that I have with my family. And knowing that they're always there. They're part of the web of life. And I am part of the web of billions of people. Multitudinous cultures, genders, races, species. There is nothing I'm not connected to. And I'm so grateful for that. I'd like to turn it over to William. Peace be with you all.
Boy, I am so touched by your sharing, Pamela. And what it makes me so aware of is my story. And I see that that's what draws me, that has drawn me all my life. I think of the saying that let yourself be drawn to that which you love. And it's that connection, that loving connection. And so many insights as I'm listening. I think it's through our suffering that we are drawn, because that always points me to that connection, which then points me back to the moment. And I, like some of you, I always go through, my mind loves to be prepared. It thinks it's doing me a favor. But but to see that now in such a different light. And that's what I get so excited about. Because at my youthful age, I feel like I'm more alive now to what's showing up. That I was too busy with my story to notice. And I've begun to see, it's okay. I love the story, but I love the moment even more. So I just feel like I'm a whole bunch of tributaries, rivers, all headed to the ocean. And so much of my life, I've competed with other rivers and so forth, and seeing how my little river is not as good or better and whatever. So I came across Sidney Banks back in 73. No, that's when he did it. 83. So many stories. And lots of people, wonderful people. But I listened through my story. I heard the two principles, consciousness and thought, but I was a little resistant to the divine mind or the oneness, because I think my father's religious beliefs I was still resisting them. So about 10 years ago, I revisited, and I kind of had something help open me up. And so and certainly the sufferings are what helped open my heart. Certainly losing my son, losing other things, so I have so many, so when I guess the way to put it is that in the last 5 years, however this has been, I find, it seems crazy, I've fallen in love with not knowing. It's like, oh my goodness, what a relief. I don't have to know. I don't know. Wow. Which reminds me of what Meg was saying about the yes and no. I don't know. And I love what you said, Pamela, about so many teachers, so many sources. So here I'm this amalgamation of all this, but it's so nice to break through the clouds and, oh, there's the sun. Ah. So when Kelly asked, what do you want to talk? I don't know. No, I don't like doing that. So early in bed, I said, what is it I know for sure? What would I want? And the phrase hit me, the magic of the moment. And that is more and more what I sense, because it is like magic for me. I just love it when I'm not showing up. For me, I can see me becoming less and less. I need the me, less and less. I love the story though. I have fun with it. I feel that it is the game of life. And I love playing it. I come alive. And that's what I saw. That's what I saw in my two little guys. The love of life, the energy, and it brought out that in me. And I see, I've always known that, because I've always been able to play and love and just be enthusiastic about life until I crawled into my story. And you've all heard the golden Buddha, deep within, covered over. Well, see, I think I was trying to build my Buddha in my story, that identity, improve, get better, should know. So innocent. In coaching, what I love so much, or being with anyone, is getting to the space, I don't know what to say. It's almost like a magnet. And when someone else is willing to go into that space with me, it's like then the awareness of the space does the talking for both of us. And I just love that. And I love it when someone else and or myself reaches that space of, oh, and it's a reminder of something they've had all their life, off and on, only forgotten. And I think that's what, for me, that when I look back with this different understanding, that, oh, I see that's always been there. I just didn't realize that. I thought I had to reinvent it, recreate it every time, find it again, whether it was in another person. And I think I've always been it's so easy to be that loving self when you're in the presence of someone else that's in their loving self. It does the work for you. It's just so simple when I get out of the way. And so this morning, my sweet wife, I had all these different tributaries I could go down. But really, instead of seeing this as, oh my gosh, the way my conditioning thinking would be, because it sees danger, I don't feel safe. Why don't I just turn that around and hear all these loving, loving people? I mean, goodness, hey, just listen to yourselves. Wow. And excuse me if I just said it earlier, but the 3 words, did I say that already? Yes, no, and wow. I was going to say it because, see, the wow is being in the moment. I mean, it can be in the story too, with the excitement and the achievement and all that. But the wow, effortless, nothing to do. Oh, it's both. Well, I love this scene behind me up in Vancouver. You'll nice to know, but the peacefulness and the joy. And yet at the same time, that can be invigorating. So it's a whole, and that's what I love about not knowing what is going to happen in the next moment. Because that's, to me, every moment something's happening. And then the rest is the story. I love it because it so simplifies. And the more I understand, and that's where I love what Sydney Banks brought out, and he did it in such a dramatic fashion with the thoughts. But the thing that I miss and what I think I have now is the knowing of the formless, loving energy of the moment, because that's where they meet. And so I love it. I love it. So, so how many ways are there to talk about silence? And that's what I think we are. We're just the silence, that loving presence, that moment. And yet we can be in silence and share that commonality, that oneness. But it's so connecting to share our stories in whatever way they are. And that's where I have such a much more appreciation and gratitude of suffering. Not the suffering in and of itself, but it's just showing me where I need to go, to listen, to really listen. And I wanted to just finish with a few quotes, because it's when I hear certain quotes, they seem to point me so directly to the truth. And as Sydney Banks said, you know, the truth is always there. Or Herman Hesse, he said, within you, there is a stillness and a sanctuary to which you can retreat at any time and be yourself. And I believe Joseph Campbell said, your sacred space is where you can find yourself again and again. And maybe this is one I'll quit with. The mind creates the abyss. The heart crosses it. Thank you all for listening. This has been so wonderful. Wow. That's that third word. I'll use it now. Wow. And Mary is a new friend, and I just in the few words you shared when you came on today, I was really struck because I felt the depth of what you feel. So I turn it to you, Mary.
Thank you, William. You know, I could listen to you forever. And that wow in the present moment struck me really deeply. And I want to start by just thanking Kelly for inviting me into the room. Kelly's the most incredible woman. And I feel really privileged that you would have me here. Because unlike the rest of you, I haven't been here before because I have a clash at this time, but I do listen to the recordings. And I was really touched to listening to each one of you. And it struck me what an incredible beauty product this is. It's like how lovable and beautiful people are when they share from their heart, whether it's with joy or with tears, and how it has that ability to connect and touch us even if we don't know each other from before. William spoke about suffering as a route to spirit or wisdom. And for me, that really was my route in. 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer and I was really ill. And up until that point, I can't remember who talked about being a high achiever, but I was that too. And my life was focused on beating my way up the corporate career ladder and achieving more and more. And as I lay there, facing my possible demise, it just seemed such a waste of time. And I became aware how the only thing that really mattered was whatever part of me was going to continue if my body died. And when I got better, I resigned from my job. I sold my house and I gave away most of my belongings. And I went to be in a center with a spiritual teacher because I had found a new goal. I was going to get enlightened. And so off I went. And interestingly enough, a part of the practice was to give gratitude and then be aware of the thoughts that came. And oh my God, guys, I had obviously never listened to myself before because the thoughts that came were so negative. I was thinking, oh my God, what did I do? This place is awful. They have me working in the kitchen. I'm an executive. I could be running the center. Just negative, negative, negative. And then after a while, they started to shift. And when I thought a thought of gratitude, real responses came like, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be in the center looking out over the ocean. Or, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be surrounded by people all looking for enlightenment. And then one day, I had a thought that blew me away. And that was that all along, the whole time, I was perfect and my life was perfect exactly as it was. And I packed my bags and I came back to Ireland because I realized I didn't need enlightenment or anything else. That everything we need is within. And the most amazing thing happened. It's like when we shift internally, the world mirrors it back to us. And when I was beating my way up the corporate ladder, I was surrounded by people who saw that as the only way to live, including me. When I focused on enlightenment, I quickly was surrounded by a group of people with the same focus. And when I came back with a new realization, within 2 weeks, by pure accident, I encountered Jamie Smart and he introduced me to the 3 principles. And I can honestly say, I feel like I have really come home. And I feel so much gratitude for having found this and being part of this. And it's like the more I can settle into just being me, perfectly imperfect, as Veronica, I think it was, said, the simpler and the easier life becomes. And it's like that gratitude that was so hard to find a few years ago, just bubbles up from nowhere. And it's like just being alive is a reason for celebration. At the start of today, Kelly mentioned grace, and I too love that word. And to me, grace is the ability to live with ease and to flow with life and to trust that really there's nothing to do except enjoy this moment because the future will be looked after. And I know now, if I'm back in a hospital bed facing my demise, it's not going to feel nearly as scary as it did the last time. Because I feel I really have discovered something that is timeless. So that's what I wanted to share. I have no idea how long I talked for, but I would now like to hand over to Sharon, who is making me feel very, very, very jealous because she was lying out in the sun while I sit in the rain in Ireland. So Sharon, the room is yours.
Oh, Mary, my apologies. Oh. Oh, Mary, that was so beautiful. Everyone, Kelly knows because I sent her some messages that I've been giving this a lot of reflection over time. I have no idea whether anything I thought before will bubble up or not. But I want to say, like so many others, that being in the room with you all has touched me deeply. It's really like music, listening to everyone here. The beautiful things that have been said and the space from which they've been said. And to be part of a community, to be in a room with people, listening for that space together. It's such a gift. And so really, I don't know how to do anything but respond to the space that's been created, because that's what's here right now. To hear Rumi quoted, that's one of my favorite pieces that's been written. To hear people speak about the perfectly imperfect, to hear Mary's realization that was so profound, that it was always perfect, her life was always perfect, and she was. I feel like to share space with people where I know I could cry, I know I could be overjoyed, I know I don't have to say what I thought I was going to say. And I just had this feeling of the fact of us falling in love with our human and spiritual experience in this way, the fact of it happening, spreading around the world. I came across this a long time ago, and there seemed, I thought, just a few people kind of were at the time, and I popped my head back up like a gopher, right? I just popped my head back up and went, oh my gosh. This space that we are, that we've always been, is touching people all around the world. And then we're coming together, and people like Kelly are bringing us together. Thank you, Kelly. And then everybody else is showing up, afraid or not afraid, with love in their hearts to share something that is not exclusive to any of us. And we know that, that's the thing. And it's not exclusive to being in this quiet space or in this state of mind or using beautiful language. It's inclusive of all of it. It's inclusive of all of us and everyone. I had an image one time of God. I'll use that word. It can be anything. But in this image, it was God, and he was a he. And this image of God showed up and held me by the shoulders and shook me and said, bring it now. Just as you are. Not as you want to be or are striving to be or think you should be, but as you are. Like, I put you here perfectly as you are right now. Bring it. And I knew that that was not being directed at me, Sharon. I knew that was for everybody. And so I'm so grateful for you all for bringing it, and in every tone and every note and every voice and every emotion, for bringing it. And I imagine a world, I dream a world, and since time really isn't time, it's already here, where everyone's bringing it as they are, with this love in their hearts for being human and knowing the space, for being in form and knowing the formless, in whatever words we want to use, in whatever tradition and whatever philosophy and whatever background, in just the moment of observing a child or a puppy dog and what we feel in that moment, or a sunset. A week or two ago, there was a game of some sorts. What was it? It was a football game. You can tell I'm a huge sports fan. And my sweetie was rooting for one team. My mom was rooting for another. And they asked who I was rooting for. And I said, I'm always rooting for the one who I think needs it. So my sweetie told his family that, and we're kind of getting to know each other over this year. And his family said, "So, well, who needs it then? Who does?" And he said, "I think it changes throughout the game." But when I thought about this talk, and now it is kind of bubbling up, what I thought about was the moments I haven't felt grateful. I've felt lost and I've felt sad, and I've beat myself up for not being grateful, because that's how you're supposed to be in my mind. Speaking beautiful words and expressing gratitude, and the more grateful people, they win because they're the better folks. They're somehow better. So I thought about gratitude, and I thought about, is it a thing we do? Is it a badge we wear? Is it a thing that makes us beautiful? And I thought, no, just like compassion, just like connection, just like love, we know that that's found in the empty space. It's found in the space before the idea of gratitude. Gratitude exists before the thought of gratitude. And everyone knows that space in moments. When a terrible nightmare passes and we wake up, or we're really hungry and we get food, there's a space. I love Dickon Bettinger when and one thing he said that has always stayed with me is gratitude is the natural human response to gifts freely given. It's natural, it's innate. And at some point we might notice it, like I might have the thought, wow, that sunset. And then for me, sometimes it shows up like, gosh, it didn't have to be that way. Who said sunsets had to be so beautiful, right? And I'm struck with a thought that I could call gratitude, but there was a space before that thought where I was just touched. And we all get touched. We all get touched. And even in my hardest moments where I thought everyone else was grateful and there was something broken about me because I was feeling really sorry for myself, I had moments where I was touched. It was there all along. And for me, that's probably the greatest gratitude. Like, who said it had to be this way, that when we fall out of our thinking, our personal world, when we fall out just for a moment, the taste of chocolate or the sight of a beautiful friend, when we fall out of this, we land somewhere so beautiful that has everything built into it, everything, and everyone does. And luckily for us, we've seen that counts. Whereas at one point I might have run over that and thought, well, it doesn't really count because I'm not there enough. That was a break from reality. Now I see it as reality. And that's such a gift. Rumi's poem, the all of it, the all of it, the all of us, that everyone's spoken to so beautifully in every different language and every different feeling and every different tone, that all of it is welcome here and needed and loved. And so I do have that thought that I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to have seen this. This morning, when I thought about the ways that I or other people I've spoken to, we've beaten ourselves up with this idea of being grateful. And what popped into my head this morning is life's kinder than that. Life's kinder than that. We're held. I don't have to do gratitude. It might occur to me in my wisdom to look for something that to realize that my heart's beating without my instruction, thank God, right? That's fine. It's fine to point our consciousness towards, for me to point my consciousness towards God. It's beautiful, it's fine. But even if I don't, I'm held by it. And I feel very held by it, and I feel very held by you in this community and by Kelly for creating this space. And for knowing, thank you everybody who was willing to just speak from the heart, for knowing that I could do that too. Yeah, so thank you.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm just taking a deep, deep, deep breath. I have just witnessed love at its purest. Thank you, Sharon, for bringing the tail end in such a beautiful way. And for Meg opening the space. And I know that we have a couple people that are in the room that aren't part of the speaking collective. And I also have an understanding that there's so much that's bubbling in me, questions and thoughts and things like that. But I want to just open the space for any and all who might like to say something to another speaker or someone who hasn't spoken yet, or anything that comes into your heart. Now would be the time. Hi, beautiful Karen.
Hello, beautiful Kelly. Thank you for this. And I hear you have a cold or sniffles, but your voice has dropped in a way that sounds really deep and grounded. And I'm just loving that.
Thank you.
And my heart is very full, very, very full. I don't often sit in on the community, and I know that every time I do, it's just so enriching for me, and I love it. And all the sharing that was given today by all the speakers, and the energy in the room has just been magical, absolutely magical to be a part of. I have something to think about and to honor in each of you that spoke. And I'm not going to take the time to do that. I just want to send my heart's thank you to each of you. The only thing I want to say is to Sharon, is that, are you a singer? Because I think what you spoke about is definitely words for a song. So if that comes to you, I think what you spoke would be a very deep and resonant song that I could hear that. If you're a singer or know somebody that sings. And thank you all for sharing such beautiful space today.
Thanks for coming, Karen. We love having you.
Thank you.
Linda, yeah, I can see that finger. Linda, hi, my friend.
Hi there, everyone. Yeah, it's been what a wonderful, wonderful occasion. I feel as though I could just burst open. My heart could just burst open. It feels so full. My chest does, and so many aspects of what each of you have shared have touched me so deeply, and also, you know, been part of my story. And I've just felt as though we're just one. I've just got that feeling of oneness, complete connection, but for our own stories that have taken us all on these different paths and then back again, hopefully. And the more we can stay connected like that, how amazing an experience it's been. So thank you, all of you that have shared like that. I've had a few tears, and you know, it's just been beautiful, beautiful experience. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I love having you. You know, when they say, you know, time is really relevant, irrelevant. I want to share just something briefly before we close, that from January 6th this year till now, I think I've been floating within my understanding of presence, being whether I'm the moderator for the room, or I'm the host, or I'm Kelly, or I'm in love, or I'm listening, you know, I'm not going to call it a learned behavior, but I have to say that I don't know if it's just because I love you all so much and you're so close to me, that I never missed a beat. I never missed a word. I never missed a feeling. I didn't miss one moment and have one moment of misunderstanding. And that says something about the principles, not about me. And in my world for a very long time, in my world for a very long time, there was a saying, and there still is, and this is how I'd like to close this. And that is, we're speaking about grace and gratitude and love. And when I reached out to all of you, it was from my heart to your heart. Would you be willing to be here? And we all have that experience where we go into our head and we're thinking about, what is she actually saying? What would she really mean about being, well, you know, and then there's places like, absolutely, yes. And then there's places of, well, let me think on that. And what that said in my world is said, I put my heart in yours, and together we could do what we could never do alone. And that is what this was for me, is I put my heart in yours, I put my hand in yours, and today together we did what we could maybe never do alone. And that's what this is. This is one beautiful conversation that's going to flow out to thousands of people. And I'm going to make each segment available for each one of you so that you may want to share it with your people. And as Sid would say, there's seeing and then there's seeing. And I thank you for all showing who you are to me, to the room, and to the world. And my heart is full of gratitude to be here. So please come off your mics and say a goodbye to everybody here that's in the room, and send your love out to the world.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You're all one.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Much love. Until next time.
I want to quote Mary. Love is a beautiful, what was it? Love is an incredible beauty product. I love it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. Be well, everybody.
Love to all.
Up to all, yes.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you all.